including to Parliament, by generous individuals that are of the rank that he retired at there. You can be in position to see. He has been paid tribute to, and President Museveni is one of those that arrived at Parliament of Uganda earlier today, and he described General Moses Ali as a peacemaker, as a freedom fighter, as a man of dialogue who was most committed to West Nile and ensuring that there is development in West Nile, and that is one of the things that he will be able to remember him for. You can be in position to see the final preparations, especially of registration of those that could be able to travel with the body to Adjumani, and his members of his family, both here in Naguru and those that are in Adjumani, are aware that the body will be arriving today, and it will be taken to council tomorrow, and different events will be happening before he is laid to rest. The former second deputy prime minister has been one of those that have been known to have served in different governments, including the government of Idi Amin in the early 1970s. And that is part of the eulogy that President Yoweri Museveni said he met him as he had been already dismissed from the military. You can be in position now to see his casket being lifted, and it will be taken into the chopper, which is set to set off from Kololo airstrip, where it will be flying away to Adjumani, and certainly you can be in position to see that the individuals carrying it are individuals of his particular rank, because that's how in the military it works. Individuals that are of the same rank with you are the ones that will carry the casket to wherever it will be moving, and certainly those are the individuals you are in position to see of the Uganda People's Defense Forces as the preparations to lay to rest the late retired General Moses Ali proceed here, and certainly you'll be in position to see a salute as it has been done, and you can be able to see it there being done because of the rank that he held, but also because of the office that he held, the office of the second deputy prime minister of Uganda. He has also served previously as a first deputy prime minister, certainly in the same term, and the portfolios were just changed, I think, in about 2.5 years of service of the last term of President Yoweri Museveni before he got into this particular term. And we are in position to notice one of the ambassadors, Nusra Tiperi, is one of those who is very central in the preparations. You can be able to see her leading some of the family members, and we assume those are family members of the late retired General Moses Ali, those that will be moving alongside the body in the military chopper parked at Kololo, and which we expect that it will be moving away from Kololo and heading to Adjumani. We expect that there are different operations happening or done at Takwa Mosque, where family had gathered since Saturday when the announcement was made by President Yoweri Museveni about his passing. And several meetings have been since held, including the meetings that involved his sons, because most of his sons are different individuals, including one of them being a minister in the cabinet there. And if we had to get back to who particularly retired General, now the late Moses Ali, was, and the president, what he talked about most of him is being a peacemaker, and you can be in position to note that in the 1980s, he led the Uganda National Rescue Front, UNRF rebel movement, and he later negotiated a peaceful settlement to integrate into forces, into the National Army, playing a vital role in stabilizing the West Nile, which also the President Yoweri Museveni highlighted, mostly talking about the meetings of the two with President, the late Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, and the several meetings, including the meeting that held and helped General Moses Ali to retreat away from attacking, as the NRA was headed to attack Kampala, to retreat and not be involved in the crossfire that was anticipated, or even that happened later on when the National Resistance Movement took over power in Kampala. So under President Museveni, he was uplifted or elevated to the 4-star general upon his retirement, and he served in the multiple senior cabinet positions, including first and second deputy prime minister. Just like we have noted on the role of the first deputy prime minister, he was replaced by the now current first deputy prime minister, Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, who previously served as the second deputy prime minister there. And he is very much noted for being the longest member of parliament serving Adjumani, because he acquired the leadership of Adjumani district, Adjumani West County, in 1996. That is more than 30 years ago when he became a member of parliament for Adjumani, and until today, he has been referred to as the Lion of Adjumani, and until now, he has been referred to many as one who has made West Nile and the kind of development that they have gotten since. And that's one of the things that the president also said he will remember him about, especially being very much committed to development in West Nile. The president noted about different roads and different programs and projects that General Moses Ali, the late, walked to the president to tell him to ensure that part of the national cake Adjumani has its share in the most appropriate way, and that is one of the most critical things that he is said to have done. And certainly, Moses Ali is one of certainly the longest serving members of parliament in Uganda, and he was serving his other term in office because he's one of those that did not receive a lot of confrontation. He did not receive a lot of fights for this particular position. He was a little more frail, just like many other individuals that saw him in the campaigns, but the people of Adjumani, he said, they continued to ask him to be part of that particular election, and so he presented himself because he wanted to serve the people of Adjumani, and that is the different ways different people have been able to eulogize him, and many of them calling him a man of development and a man of commitment, the Lion of Adjumani. Many of those who are remembering him for being one of the most critical at the time, though silent a bit about criticizing the role of Idi Amin during his power, and also saying Ali's career mirrored Uganda's turbulent journey, which later on became such a soft journey, according to those that have seen Uganda through from one regime to another until today, to the leadership of the National Resistance Movement, which has been in power for over 40 years. And Ali's career is one of those that reflect what Uganda has been. Few Ugandan political figures who have experienced him, many of them including the now government chief whip, who is formerly the Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, eulogized him as such a very much committed individual who oftentimes he worked with to ensure that health in West Nile is much better, is put well together. But also he worked with him, especially when he developed health conditions that were different to manage at all the different times. And so he was very much close to him. He served in the army of President Milton Obote and rose swiftly into the army of Idi Amin in 1971. That particular coup that brought Idi Amin into power, he was part of them and fled into exile. After that particular fall of Amin, and returned as a rebel leader against the Uganda People's Congress President Milton Obote then. That is also part of the things that President Yoweri Museveni highlighted when he was speaking earlier on today at Parliament of Uganda, giving his eulogies. He was born in 1939, April 5th, in Melideli village, Atabu Parish, Peke division in present-day Adjumani district, and that's why many members of parliament thought that probably Arua, as a city of the region, ought to have paid a different sort of tribute to the late General Moses Ali, and he was born to Muhammad Ali and Veronica Posh Ali into a Muslim family, and their final decades of British colonial rule is how they grew up, and that was the kind of environment in which they lived, and until they joined government, until himself as well joined government. We are awaiting the chopper flying away and heading to Adjumani, and including in Adjumani, we shall be able to receive it as it gets into the reception of the people there. Uganda in the late 1960s was politically fragile, and that's also one of the things that were more evident in his office, at the office of the Prime Minister. He had a lot of historical portraits within his office, and also his uniform was also one of those critical things that anybody would find in the office of retired General Moses Ali, and his commitment to office. He's one of the individuals or ministers that government officers have said he was very critical at service and very key into the service of human life, especially health of the people and development, especially looking at the issues to do with government programs, but also infrastructure. He was very much instrumental. The President mentioned about 5 roads, including the particular highway that he talked about, in which the retired late General Ali probed him many times to ensure that it gets to be worked on. It's just waiting time for that particular chopper to start and head away to Adjumani. You can be in position to see some of the individuals have been left behind, and certainly it means those will be moving later on at a later time. But the family members between Kampala and in Adjumani have been waiting, and the wait could be over in a few minutes from now, as this particular body will be headed to its final home, and that will be in Adjumani. We shall be also bringing you up to speed with how the council will be sitting, what the resolutions will be for the council in Adjumani district, and particularly what it will look like as they pay the last tribute to the Lion of Adjumani, as termed by several individuals. He commissioned into the military as a second lieutenant in 1969. That was so many years ago, and rose rapidly through the ranks as a military officer, and different establishments he has served, including this particular government of President Yoweri Museveni, and he was still in service. This death serves to mean that Uganda will be undertaking a by-election just months from today, and that will start with a notice from Parliament of Uganda to the Electoral Commission, and later on that particular by-election will be done. That means the Parliament of Uganda, the 11th in the kind, the 12th Parliament, is going now to have two by-elections, one that was in Kalangala, which was just concluded, and this will be the second one after loss of members of Parliament who have already been voted and certainly undertaken the different processes there. We shall be certainly also following up that and getting you what it looks like. What many have termed as irony about General Moses Ali, what they said about the greatest dangers and under the regime that he served in, and later on left when he fled to exile, the regime of Idi Amin, where he served as a finance minister. And he reportedly became increasingly popular and part of the charitable efforts that benefited many Muslims, and that speaks to the reason as to why his body has been between Chibuli, Old Kampala, and Naguru. And that is also one of the things that President Yoweri Museveni noted and said he was not a man of divisions. He was a man who was for dialogue, and that serves to mean the kind of person that he was and what he served to be. That is the late General Moses Ali, and who he was to the population of Uganda and the Muslim society as is, including the eulogies that were given by the Muslim leader in Uganda, that is Dr. Kasim Nachibinge, who eulogized him as a man who was solid on issues to do with Islam or issues to do with the Muslims' welfare, the Muslims' affairs, and certainly the safety of Muslims and their rights as Muslims. And that was one of the most critical eulogies that were seen. We are awaiting certainly the start of that chopper that you continue to watch on NBS television as the events come to you live from Kampala here at Kololo Independence Grounds at the airstrip there. What sort of negotiations was the late General, retired Moses Ali, involved in? Rather than probing conflict in West Nile, he entered into the talks with the new government of the NRA then. That's what President talked about when they held the two meetings with President Muammar Gaddafi